How's it going, everyone? Justin Smith, their scouting and recruiting analyst. Touchdown Alabama. Be sure to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button for me as well. Subscribers, hit the notification bell. Be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. Today, I'm back to break down the Crimson Tide's loaded elite 2023 defensive back class. I know leading into the 2023 recruiting cycle, we all knew how important the defensive back group was going to be for the Crimson Tide. Just look at Alabama's current roster. They could possibly lose DeMarco Hellams, Jordan Battle, Brian Branch, and Eli Ricks at the end of this season. I know that Ricks finally got an opportunity to start for the Crimson Tide recently, but he could quickly make a name for himself on NFL draft boards. He's known, and if he has a couple of good games for the Crimson Tide to close out this season, he could be moving on to the NFL. So the Crimson Tide could lose 4 prominent members of their defensive back secondary group at the end of this season. Of course, you have older guys who will be on the edge of leaving, but I think they'll most likely come back when you take a look at guys like Malachi Moore and Kyrie Jackson. So with that in mind, the Crimson Tide had to go out in the 2023 recruiting cycle and they have not signed these guys yet, but pick up commitments from some top 2023 defensive backs. They've done a pretty good job of doing that so far during this 2023 recruiting cycle, picking up commitments from 3 5-star defensive backs in Jahlil Hurley, Caleb Downs, and Tony Mitchell. Also have a commitment from a athlete in Brayson Hubbard who's expected to play defensive back for the Crimson Tide at the next level. And I wanted to just get on here today and just break down the Crimson Tide's elite defensive back class. I've had an opportunity to watch 3 of these guys live in action so far this season. I plan to see Brayson Hubbard in a couple of weeks when the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game takes place inside the state of Alabama this year, and I have an opportunity to travel there, see him practice. I also see him participate in that game. He is listed as a quarterback on the roster, so it'll be interesting to see if we will have an opportunity to actually watch him play defensive back. But let's dive into these guys and why they are 5-star recruits, and why I feel that some of these guys on this list could be coming in set to make an immediate impact for the Crimson Tide. Starting with Caleb Downs, a 5-star defensive back out of Mills Creek High School in Georgia. In my opinion, I think it's going to be extremely hard to keep this guy off of the field once he gets to Tuscaloosa. He can do everything. Just take a look at his film. This is some of the film that I was able to capture while I saw him play earlier in the season. The thing that I was most impressed with is his ability to come down to help and run support, make nice tackles in the open field. He's a guy who's not afraid to get his hands dirty, not afraid to lower his head and get his head into the fire and make some great tackles in the open field. Currently standing at about 6 foot, weighing approximately 180 pounds. He's an all-around athlete, in my opinion. Plays on both sides of the football for Mill Creek High School. Like I said, coming down and making big tackles on nice size running backs at the high school football level. He's a guy who plays safety really well, which is a position Alabama is projected to play him at. He's a #1 safety in the country, and you can make a argument that he should be in a conversation, be a #1 player in the country. He is just that good. And when I had an opportunity to see him, he made an impact in every facet of the game. Coming up with an interception here, almost taking it back to the house. Unfortunately, he was pushed down by his teammate on this play. He ran in a rushing touchdown, was able to pull in some receptions during this particular game, as you guys can see. So Caleb Downs is a special athlete, in my opinion. I think the thing that really makes him special is his anticipation. He's a guy who seems to know where the ball is going before the ball is even snapped, before the ball is released from the quarterback's hands. We did do an in-depth breakdown on some of his film in an earlier video on our YouTube. Be sure to check that out as well. But Caleb Downs is an exciting defensive back. In my opinion, it's going to be hard to keep this guy on the sidelines as soon as he get to Tuscaloosa in the near future. Another guy who I feel could come in and make an immediate impact is Jahlil Hurley, a 5-star defensive back out of Florence High School in Florence, Alabama. The Crimson Tide rarely have an opportunity to recruit this many 5-star defensive backs inside the state. Just taking a look at the state, there's 3 guys who are rated as 5-star recruits who are defensive backs. You have Jahlil Hurley. You also have Tony Mitchell, who's verbally committed to the Crimson Tide. You have another 5-star recruit who's a defensive back who's verbally committed to the Georgia Bulldogs. So the state is loaded, and Jahlil Hurley is one of those guys. In my opinion, he's a guy who can come in and make an immediate impact as a cornerback. If I went into a lab and generated and developed and created a cornerback, I would create a guy like Jahlil Hurley. Look how long his arms is. Look at that long wingspan. When he's in his stance, in his defensive back stance, it looks as if he can basically almost his arms are past his knees. It looks as if he can tie his shoes while he's in his stance. This is how long his arms is, and I think that really helps him in coverage. Similar to Eli Ricks, he has those very long arms. And what did you guys see with Ricks in his last performance with those long arms. You can break up passes very easily, continue to stay engaged in plays with those long arms. You also can react really quickly and make some great pass breakups, and Jahlil Hurley is one of those guys. He's another guy similar to Caleb Downs. Florence High School uses him on both sides of the football, uses him at wide receiver sometimes. When I saw him play early in the season, he pulled in a receiving touchdown. Also blocked the game-tying field goal attempted by Bob Jones High School to seal the game for Florence High School. Now, although he does not have the thickest frame for guys, he's a guy who is a decent tackler in the open field, in my opinion. I think he's going to get better at that as he continues to add on some weight. As you guys can see, great ball skills, which is why he is a dominant force on both sides of the football for Florence High School at the moment. Listed at about 6'3", so he has nice length, a nice frame on him, weighing approximately 100, probably 170, 180 pound range. So I think once he gets to Alabama, he gets to add on some weight, and that was the game tying field goal attempt that I was talking about earlier. But once he gets to Tuscaloosa, he's going to have an opportunity to add on some weight. I think come in and make an immediate impact as a cornerback, in my opinion, just based on his ball skills, that length, that long wingspan. I think he's just a new age type of cornerback out of Florence High School in Florence, Alabama. Tony Mitchell is another 5-star defensive back out of the state of Alabama, currently attends Thompson High School in Alabaster, Alabama. Has experience playing cornerback and safety. Started off at cornerback at Thompson as a ninth grader, and his first couple of offers actually came as an 8th grader. He was actually once verbally committed to the Tennessee Volunteers, but he decommitted from them, of course. Was played safety the last couple of years, but Thompson actually moved him back to defensive back to cornerback for his senior season. He has been effective, a little bit on the quiet side, because when he played cornerback, teams can just avoid throwing the football your way, and he has not had much action, but he had a lot more action as a junior for Thompson High School. He was able to be more effective in terms of coverage, but he's a guy with outstanding size. He looks like a linebacker prospect right now. As you guys can see, stands about 6'2", weighs in between that 190, 200 pound range. I think he's really close to 200 pounds right now, projected to be a safety at the next level, in my opinion, just based on his playing style. I think he plays better when he's able to play as a safety. He has decent coverage skills, which goes back to his time as a cornerback. He's a guy who I think is a really good get for the Crimson Tide. He's a physical guy, great size. I think he's going to be able to do some great things in Tuscaloosa. The guy who's the wild card among this group is Brayson Hubbard. He's a very, very interesting prospect, because as you guys can see, he's the quarterback for his high school. He's a decent quarterback prospect. Won the Mississippi Player of the Year, Mr. Football, inside of his classification during the 2021 football season. He's having a great senior season for Ocean Springs High School as well. Like I said, strong arm, but the Crimson Tide want him to play defensive back at the next level. We have not seen much from him as a defensive back, which is why he is the wild card. We know he has some great speed, as you guys can see, but he's a bit on the interesting side, because like I said, we haven't seen a lot from him as a defensive back in terms of backpedal, in terms of his reaction skills, which is why I am excited to see him in action during the Alabama Mississippi All-Star event. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see him more as a defensive back. He is listed as a quarterback, so he is expected to be one of Mississippi's quarterbacks in that particular event. But I want to see him possibly get in on the action, possibly doing one-on-ones at that event or something, so we get a better look at him as a defensive back. Right, as a 3-star recruit on most recruiting sites. I think some recruiting sites have boosted him up to a 4-star, still a 3-star in our own Touchdown Alabama independent recruiting rankings, but we are excited to see him in a couple of weeks. So if we has an opportunity to show what he's able to do as a defensive back to the Cincinnati Crimson Tide, like him there, we will have a better opportunity to evaluate him as a full defensive back and possibly boost him up to a 4-star. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to watching him in action. But like I said, he has a nice touch as a quarterback, really explosive, fast guy, has some athleticism, dangerous with the football in his hand. So some of the things are going to translate over, especially with them being able to run with wide receivers. I think he's going to be able to do that. Just take a look at his speed. I think he's also going to be able to take some of the things that he has learned as a quarterback, because if you are a quarterback, you have to be knowledgeable of the game. I think that knowledge and that high IQ could translate over as well. Just taking a look at some of the skills and some of the things that are transferable with them being a quarterback and possibly playing safety at the next level for the Crimson Tide. With these guys verbally committed, I think the Crimson Tide secondary is in a good position moving forward, with them possibly set to lose those guys who I talked about at the beginning of the video. But the Tide are definitely not done. They're still recruiting some guys who are defensive backs, some guys who come to mind are Damari Brown. You also have Malik Muhammad, who's verbally committed to the Texas Longhorns. Crimson Tide really like him. Tyler Scott, one of the emerging defensive backs in the 2023 class. Desmond Ricks, a guy who reclassified from the 2024 class to the 2023 class recently. He's a 5-star defensive back. So the Tide could add some more talent here, but this group is a loaded group coming at the right time for the Crimson Tide when they will be looking for answers next year when they could possibly lose those guys in the secondary. So that is what I wanted to do on today's video. Break down Alabama's loaded 2023 defensive back class. This class is really talented as a whole, but its defensive back group is really standing out. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Subscribers, hit the notification bell, be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama.